every time so far. Here they go again, 22 metres out. Can they make it all the way? This ploy of sucking the opposition in and then quick switching the ball out to the left hand side, and it's yielded 3 scores, Colin.
Yeah, the quality finish. I think it's Elias Cavan, actually, the left winger that finishes. Look at that hands from Ross Thompson. That's what does it. And Aaron Tate, he throws the grenade out, but the bouncing ball can be a bit of a check for the defence. Heriot don't quite get their scramble. Cavan does really well to step inside one defender. He's got the pace and the power to get over the line. Just see that deft hands from Ross Thompson, showing all the quality you'd expect from a professional. And then it's just the bouncing ball. Really difficult. And when you look back on that for Heriot's, Kyle Brown will be disappointed with that attempt at a tackle, just getting caught too high. Again, he's not in the right position because of the bouncing ball. Cavan does well stepping off that left foot inside, and Ayr, clinical. They hadn't scored for a while, but when they're in and around the Heriot's 22, they look dangerous and too strong on this occasion for the Heriot's defence. Ross Thompson's conversion from way out on that left hand side on this occasion's unsuccessful, so after 31 minutes it's a strong 19-0 lead for Ayrshire Bulls.
Good form, and my apologies to Elias Cavan. All I can see in my defence is that he needs to organise with Cam Jones that they get different hairstyles, because it threw me completely. I'll need to go with the numbers, not their hairstyles. Heriot's Rugby 0, Ayrshire Bulls 19, 31 minutes played. And the Ayrshire Bulls re-emphasising their power and their options. All 3 scores very similar though, going out to the left-hand channel, having punched a hole up the middle and tested the right-hand side. Good throwing from James Malcolm has been a foundation. Here again, another tasting aerial. Oh, that could have been a good break, but just lost forward. Again, difficult to take a ball like that swirling in the air. It would have been going in different directions all over the place.
Knock on. Yeah.
Finlay Brown adjusting that to the knock on and player out of position. So let's see what the front rows are making of it this time, and whether he comes round to the near side.
Okay.
To see if there's any shenanigans he should be picking up. As Colin was mentioning, Heriot's were working themselves back into the game, but it's this killer instinct the Bulls have. When they get into the goal zone, they come away with points, albeit not the full maximum this time. Well, it is the other side for Finlay Brown, and I think he may very well come over to the camera side this time, just to see what's going on.
On left, let's go again.
Keep your eye on this, Colin, because I'm going to ask you when it goes down what took it down.
Crouch. Bind. Set.
Here he comes again. Oh, out the back door, and just a bit ambitious there. He's been impressive so far, maybe just a little bit greedy with that one, Colin.
There is an option. It's not
you could see Vailanu, the big Tongan number 8 Glasgow Warrior pro. You could see before the scrum he was wanted to alert Cam Jones to that option of going down the blind side. And again, a couple of weeks ago he did exactly that and linked with Jones, and they scored a try off it. Just the recognition that actually a 5-6 metre blind side is enough. Heriot's maybe not thinking that they're going to attack there, but on that occasion the offload just goes behind Cam Jones, so Heriot's get away with one and get a chance to launch their own attack.
I think they may very well have got away with one in the line out. Now here's a card.
Go. Where? There you go.
Just trying to, yeah, it's the Ayrshire Bulls number 6, Blair McPherson, the captain. It's pinged this time. And that will mean that he will be off, certainly for the rest of the first half. So that's a blow to the Bulls because he's a key figure, Colin.
He is, yeah, big physical ball carrier and an absolute nuisance at breakdown in defence as well. Throws his weight around with his tackling as well. On that occasion, I think he just caught the Heriot's attack. He was just at a high tackle, and Finlay Brown absolutely no hesitation, very quick on to the whistle to issue the penalty, and almost as quick into his pocket to brandish the yellow card for Blair McPherson, with Sean Leneen in the background looking on, and maybe his director of rugby, no, what's his, he's got a head of something role at Heriot's Rugby, so Neil Meikle's the director of rugby, I think, but yeah, Sean Leneen involved in some capacity. It's just a shame for Heriot's, for Michael Linus, the hooker. You did identify it earlier, Hugh, Dan, the difficulty in these conditions of throwing in, which makes it interesting that Ayrshire Bulls have got the choice of a scrum or line out, and they back James Malcolm to throw his line out throw accurately, and they can, whether they launch an attack or whether they kick downfield when they're 14 men down, time will tell.
You get the feeling that if Sean Leneen pulled his boots on, he could be much more use right now. Rather than be director of anything, playing in the centre, he might be able to pull a few tricks out of his toolbox. He still looks in very good shape. So here's a chance for Heriots now to make the numbers count. It's not going to be easy for them in the back line. Difficult ball. That was well taken by Liam McNamara, but he's scragged four sets of hoops trying to keep him up, but he gets the ground. Clock ticking now, and I'm pretty sure Ayr will be quite happy to see this out. Keep the ball, or at least keep control of the game. Again, it's bouncing, nobody's able to get their hands on that one.
First man!
It's a surprise that the aerial route hasn't been tried even more, because it's so difficult to defend. And here's some space now for the Bulls underneath the cameras. Tate thundering forward, but they've given away another penalty.
Leave him. No, 7. Let him go.
I'm loving the innocence there, but Lewis McNamara
First man,
taking
Lee,
exception.
there, on.
Is that a tactic you would use a bit more, Colin, given the state of the wind, to turn a defence? You want to throw the ball up in the air a few times and cause chaos?
It's a good point, Hugh, Dan, because I don't think any high ball that's been put up today has been cleanly caught by either side. So it becomes a kind of a good option, especially in your own half. Actually, as a way of trying to relieve pressure. You might force a knock on. It's then making sure that actually your kick chase is really good, and if the ball does bounce, if it is a loose ball that you're quickest onto, you latch onto that loose ball, and as Ayrshire Bulls did there, it then gives you a chance to launch a counter attack and get the ball out to the width. But on this occasion, Heriot's defence, their scramble defence, their wide defence was excellent. The tackle on Aaron Tate was really good, just low, get him to ground quickly, and then it was just latching on and winning that race to the breakdown and winning the turnover, which was excellent work. And as we creep towards half time, it would be nice for Heriot's Rugby, probably nice for this game going into the second half if they could get a score.
Don't change the outside 8.
I think that they're probably going to be playing with the wind behind them in the second half, so it will be a different game again come the second 40 minutes. But can get points on the board, or have Ayrshire Bulls done? Yeah, they've done enough again at line out time, at maul time.
Hang on a second.
Really interesting that the battle at mauls, as we all get our handbags out and
away you go.
try and put a bit of lipstick on the opposition or whatever it is.
We'll
That Finn Gillies and Pat MacArthur,
go.
both coaches,
Time
both
off,
former
please, Graham.
hookers, obviously target using that maul as a real attacking weapon. But today, the defence of that,
gone, 7 blacks
just listen to
it. It's caused that penalty against 7. Yeah. Right.
There we go.
Come here, fellas.
we saw
Look,
Lewis
put a
McNamara
turnover where
moments
you've won
ago
it. This player's come
having
in late and dropped the
a bit
shoulder
of
on
an
the players on
argument.
the floor. It's just going to be a penalty.
So
Be careful.
McNamara penalised this time. So the
Back we
good
go.
work of the Ayrshire Bulls forwards undone by the
Dealing with his shoulder,
indiscipline
number
of
7.
their open side.
I thought he was through the middle.
Yeah, and when the referee said it's just a penalty this time, he had a good look at Lewis McNamara as he said that, and also towards his, well, not towards the captain Blair McPherson, who's off the field, of course, but he made the point, and that's the second time there's been some afters involving Lewis McNamara, so he needs to tread carefully. So we're into the final minute of regular time. Thereabouts, it's in the referee's hands, of course. But this could very well be Heriot's Rugby last chance to get something on the board. They would like to get something on the board going in at half time. Slowly crawling forward, first stop. Sensing there was a break on there, Linus. Just felt his way through on his shoulder, moving the point of attack out, and they're very, very close on the scrum half snipe. Straight out of the Colin Gregor playbook, that one. Good defence by Ayrshire Bulls, though. They're keeping it very, very tight. There's the Bulls a man down in the pack, so maybe that's the gamble at the moment. They're underneath the sport, there's posts, McAndrew. Jack Mann on at pace this time, and it's a loose ball. Still live. McAndrew burrowing again. Turning inside. Bulls are covering every inch of the clock's well past regular time now. So they need to keep it alive and they need to get to the line. Otherwise it's a done deal at half time. Oh, driven back. Gamble. Stopped in his tracks. McAndrew again. Hop, skip and jump. Went nowhere. The full back in the line twice. Rumbles over. Good delivery. And another thumping tackle on the line. And I think they've spilled it. That's terrific defence from Ayrshire Bulls, and that in fact is enough to see them home and dry at half time at the very least, with a handsome advantage of 19 points. And that was some terrific defence, and it was Heriot's Rugby last chance of the first half to make anything of it. So 3 tries to the good. Glendinning, Elias Cavan, and Cavan with the third. Also, he's had 2 tries, and Ross Thompson a couple of conversion takes us at half time. At Goldenacre, it's Heriot's Rugby 0, Ayrshire Bulls 19. Now, we know that the Scotland women's team have taken off to New Zealand. They're well settled in now ahead of the Rugby World Cup matches, which kick off next weekend. Scotland play Wales in their opening game on Sunday. That's the 9th of October at 5:45 a.m. 5:45 a.m. if you want to set your clocks. That's our time. Before the players left for New Zealand, however, we caught up with some of them to have a chat about their memories of world sporting events.
I'm nervous, everyone's watching. These sleeves, they're cool. Not so much then.
Okay. I want a new partner now.
No, I'm ready.
Okay.
I
can't believe I just said that.
I've got to back the gal. I love her.
Nice. So do you have any memories from other big sporting events?
Yeah, I watched the Women's 2010 World Cup because one of my close friends, Nicola Halfpenny, was there. So yeah, I was watching that, but I remember seeing like Donna Kennedy and all that there. It was just, was crazy, like it was really physical games, but I just remember watching it and thinking, I really hope that's me one day.
I think a big one for me, and really topical as well, is I was a ball girl at the 2010 World Cup, so the last time that Scotland played in a Women's Rugby World Cup, I was there on the sidelines running the balls up and down. There's probably some really embarrassing photos somewhere, but let's hope they stay hidden.
We're gonna pull them
But
out.
definitely something that I'll remember for the rest of my life, is being inspired by those players back then. So yeah, really cool to be then playing in the next one.
I would say Jessica Ennis winning the Olympics. That was something that definitely stuck out for me.
Powerful.
Yeah.
For me, in terms of my rugby journey, there's one that's really important, which was Glasgow 2014.
Yeah.
Not that I went and watched some of the athletics, but then also watched some of the rugby on TV, and it's actually what inspired me to get back into rugby, as I wasn't doing rugby at the time, so that kind of got me back into rugby, and now I'm here.
Yeah, I think when I was growing up, we had the Mountain Bike World Cup come to Fort William, and that was like such a massive event. And I think for me it was really cool to see that the men and the women were on pretty even footing. Like they both ran on the same day. Like you would kind of think of mountain biking as like a male-dominated sport or like quite physical, but actually the women were like incredible at it as well. So I think for me that solidified the fact that like I can do whatever I want to do.
Okay, so first one, Athens 2004, was watching Catherine Granger, Steve Redgrave, the rowing. I just remember being like sat on the stairs watching it, thinking, so cool, I want to be a part of a big tournament like that.
I think the first time I remember like a world event was the Football World Cup in '98. Last time Scotland were there. And we had a sweepstake and I got Scotland and I was so excited and I just couldn't understand why they hadn't won. But I think probably Athens 2004 when Kelly Holmes won her double Olympic titles, that's when I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do, I want to be part of these events.
I remember watching Scotland women play at Murrayfield, probably 2002, and they played against Sweden in the main stadium, and I went along as a wee 7-year-old and got to watch them, and that day just fell in love with it, was desperate to be part of the women's team in the future.
Went to the Men's World Cup. I watched Scotland-Samoa in 2015, St James's Park in Newcastle. I got the train down when I was a poor student. So to now be playing a World Cup is pretty, yeah, it's pretty surreal. And I loved your commitment to supporting Catherine Granger.
Yeah, I know. You've got to back the gal. I love her. Scottish too.
Well, we wish the ladies all the best in their endeavours in New Zealand, starting next Sunday morning, as I said, at 5:45 in the morning. My own significant event, if I can throw it to that, was the 2011 World Cup final in New Zealand, Colin. So there you go. So Heriot's Rugby 0, Ayrshire Bulls 19. Talk us through the main significant events of the first half.
And it was the Ayrshire Bulls that got off to a flying start, getting a couple of quick scores on the board, and Thomas Glendinning with the lovely dive to get the first try. It was the hard work of the forwards over on the right hand side, and then some great interplay from the inside backs, and Glendinning did really well just to maintain that width that the Heriot's defence couldn't cover, and a fairly straightforward running after the pass from Andy Stirrett. And again, it's Stirrett linking with Ross Thompson on that occasion, and it's Elias Caven coming from left wing, almost a hidden runner behind the rest of the Ayrshire Bulls attackers, and it's just great execution, the timing of the passes, drawing the defenders in, getting the ball into space, Caven giving the time and then bursting onto the ball in front of him, and it's a pretty straightforward run in because of the good work of his teammates. And look at this lovely hands from Ross Thompson there, the wide pass from Aaron Tate, good pick up from Caven, good footwork, good strength, and just enough space to get in on the left hand side. Really good finish from the winger. When you look at it again, just he still had a lot to do after that bouncing ball from the right winger. Aaron Tate here does well to bend, pick it up, power, shrugs off the tackle, a bit of footwork, and then takes a couple of defenders over with him. That last conversion was beyond the remits of Ross Thompson, but he converted the first 2. So at 19-0, it's a commanding position for Ayrshire Bulls, but they're still without their captain after this moment of ill discipline. Coming in, and a big high shot on Jack Mann, the Heriot's number 8, right in front of Finlay Brown, who was under no illusions, quick to the yellow card. Whether he could have considered a shoulder contact direct to the head as being a red card, maybe, but I think it puts definitely a high shot. You can tell Ayrshire Bulls captain Blair McPherson has no qualms as he takes his 10-minute spell, which I think he's maybe got another 3 or 4 minutes of that to serve, although the first half did run beyond the 40 minutes, so it might be down to a couple of minutes. And that period of defence from the Ayrshire Bulls at the end of the half was, well, it may well be psychologically important, because Heriot's threw absolutely everything at them through a number of phases, going left and right across the pitch, across the Ayrshire Bulls try line, but Heriot's couldn't actually cross over the whitewash. Ayrshire Bulls forced the error in the end, and as a result they're 19-0 to the good at the half.
And a lot will depend on how the conditions affect the second half. We know that they were difficult for Heriots largely in the first half, partly the sun, but the wind is swirling, so it's anybody's guess how it will be when the players come out. But certainly Ayrshire Bulls have to just produce more of the same, defend the missing person for a very short period. Interesting point Colin makes, that the first half ran well over the 40 minutes, so that will have eaten into the 10. I'm pretty sure it's the actual playing time that counts. So that will be, and one of the main features of the game, I think, apart from some significant contributions from Vailanu at number 8 for Ayrshire Bulls, is his fellow Glasgow Warrior Ross Thompson. I'm sure Franco Smith will be encouraged by Thompson's performance. He's playing in second gear, you would say, at the moment, but playing significantly well to indicate that his recuperation's been good.
Yeah, and you look at professionals coming into this game, and actually his error count has been very, very low, if there's been any at all. He's done the basics well. I think it always helps when you're playing fly half if your forwards are on the front foot, and I think for the majority of that half, the Ayrshire Bulls forwards have been the dominant pack. We saw a lovely 50-22 kick from Ross Thompson when he recognised that the attack was kind of leading to nothing. We saw the lovely sleight of hand for one of the Bulls' tries. Be interesting in this second half if the Bulls are up against the wind, which we're thinking, given the way the first half panned out, they're likely to be. How does Ross Thompson manage the game when the kicking option isn't really much of an option for the Ayrshire Bulls? How does he make sure that Vailanu and the big ball carriers are trundling up the guts of the Heriot's defence? How do they make sure they win the breakdowns? He just keeps control of things. And the flip side is for Heriot's, as we see them back on the field, focusing on former Sevens teammate of mine, Niall Godsmark, who's not had much ball out on that right wing, but maybe with a 19-point deficit, Heriot's will start to chase the game a little bit more. Because they've got the wind behind them, it doesn't mean it just happens. You still have to execute, you still have to be accurate with your kicking, which might be a challenge. Bruce Houston, the Heriot's fly half, was getting treatment as the half-time whistle went, so they'll be hopeful that he's recovered and can take his place for this second half to make sure that when there's opportunity to pin Ayrshire Bulls deep, they take these opportunities. But equally, when Ayrshire Bulls are sitting deep expecting the kicks, Heriot's recognise that, and they then launch the ball through the hands, keep the ball in attack, get Niall Godsmark and the likes onto with ball in hand. Matt Davidson, a current Sevens player, as it looks like Bruce Houston has made way there. See number 22 on the field, Dan King. So it's a blow for Heriot's, but you've just got to rise to the challenge.
And there are plenty challenges. In fact, there are 19 at the moment, all of them points in the favour of Ayrshire Bulls as we get underway in the second half. Confirmation of the enforced change. I think think that's clearly the injury that Colin referred to. Now here's a kick over the defence. It didn't quite go deep, but a variation in the Heriot's attack perhaps that we might see more of. And one other change is that Ollie Smith has appeared for no, he hasn't appeared for Glasgow Warriors, but he is a Warrior appearing for the Ayrshire Bulls, and a confirmation there of Calvin Henderson has left the field for the Bulls as well in the front row. So Ollie Smith has replaced Glendinning, the first try scorer, and it will be interesting to see how his return to play affects the game. Referee getting some electronic work. So Ross Thompson has been withdrawn as well, so William Hunt has come on at fly half. So I would reckon that would be one half's enough. We've seen enough, just let's put in cotton wool.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a pre-arranged agreement that Franco Smith, the Glasgow Warriors coaches and medical team probably have with the Ayrshire Bulls. Give Ross Thompson 40 minutes. Equally for Ollie Smith coming on, give him 40 minutes as well. So, yep, Ross Thompson will be delighted with how his half went. Ollie Smith looking lively with a couple of left foot steps, winning the penalty with his first touch of the ball at the beginning of the second half, but Vailano at the back of that line out couldn't quite keep a hold of the ball, so a little unforced error from the Ayrshire Bulls. And it's interesting, isn't it, the Ross Thompson, Ollie Smith coming back from injury, just managing the game time they get for someone like Sione Vailano, the big number 8 for Ayrshire Bulls, but also Glasgow Warriors. He's just a kind of player that just needs minutes under his belt, just get him kind of as match fit as possible, so that when in a couple of weeks, even when come autumn internationals with a lot of the Warriors away, he's ready to step up and take the places of the Matt Fagersons and the likes in the Warriors back row.
Lads, there's too much movement before set anyway.
A very competitive part of the Glasgow Warriors team, of course, the back row, but also one of the more attritional parts of the team with injuries. Even Matt Fagerson, there's a rib knock, we understand, prevented him playing today if the choice was there. So just looking after these players, managing the game time, as Colin said. And Vailano certainly has been impressive in his ball carrying, and the more minutes he gets under his belt in a game like this, the more chance he has of being productive in the Glasgow Warriors squad. But it will be interesting to see if Ollie Smith manages to get on the ball and stretch his legs.
Set.
Ayr in command at the moment, albeit a man down. Blair McPherson, their captain, should be back any time now. Just have a look in case he's... There he is, right on cue. Finlay Brown, bring him back on. So he'll trundle back on. He was philosophical, the shrug of the shoulders when he went. I do think Colin's point earlier, he in other circumstances might have been facing a red card because the tackle was quite high, and if they'd had another look at it about the point of contact, well, maybe there was an issue. He's still talking to the front rows. Any advice you'd offer the front rows, Colin?
Andrew? Is that the exact same thing?
Just get set and let us play rugby. Enough of your one-upmanship on one another. Just have a little cuddle if that's what it takes, and just let the rest of the team enjoy playing some rugby. The flip side of that, Jack Mann will be really disappointed at the back of that Heriot scrum, just knocking the ball on. Almost too keen, I think. He's not had much of a chance to get ball in hand, and thinking here's an opportunity to try and get away from Lewis McNamara, and that is the end of Jack Mann's afternoon as well. It's a real shame for him and for Heriot. Looks in a bit of discomfort getting helped off the field. Yes, so it's a shame for him, because he is a phenomenal athlete and a real quality operator.
We made the change.
A bright future in front of him as well, so hopefully there's nothing too serious there.
I've had a word with
Yeah,
the
he's been impressive every time I've seen him. He gallops about the field, he covers all the bases, and he's a key player in their forward effort. And just some spots of rain appearing on the cameras there. Just a bad omen. I see number 19, Rory Jackson, has appeared for the Ayrshire Bulls as well. So all ringing all the changes here. That helps in some ways, but doesn't exactly help in terms of rhythm. I think that's in place of Lewis McNamara is my guess there, Colin. What do you think? Maybe preventative rather than anything else, because he was becoming over enthusiastic in some of his exchanges. So Callum Cruikshank, confirmation there, has replaced Jack Mann, and that's one of their 3 emergency loanees to help them this weekend, Heriots. And there's confirmation indeed that Lewis McNamara has taken his handbag off the field, and the rain has started, so hopefully it won't reach any of the epic proportions it was meeting out in Fife yesterday for the golf.
Number 1 standing up under pressure, and Heriot's not staying square.
So still trouble at Mill. Josh Scott this time standing up. And you can see on the faces of people in the touchline, they're beginning to feel the weather, turning their faces and shoulders into the rain and the sleet, probably, almost anyway. So let's see what Smith makes of
but Heriot's
kicking.
on the line, Bob. Heriot's on the line.
Didn't look for too much. You see there the rain descending on Goldenacre. Poor linesman in the face of it as well. I said at the start it was 4 seasons, well this is the second one.
It's through the middle.
It's a bit untidy.
Yes!
And again, but they've won it this time. Heriots.
He's on the ball carrier. Turnover. For me, he's gone to 4.
Apologies if any industrial language was picked up by the referee's mic.
Here we are.
It'll be interesting to see if this weather begins to turn the game into the arm wrestle I kind of half promised earlier on. Visibility will undoubtedly deteriorate, and all credit to the cameramen and women for keeping this going.
Too much movement.
Again, this game is a shambles, really. Heriot's trying to run it out.
Tackle!
No. They still have it.
He's been trapped in by these 2 players. It's a tackle.
McPherson not happy. Doesn't agree with Finlay Brown's interpretation of what's going on.
Unplayable.
So they can try and move it from their 22.
Let's go. Would you wait?
Keeping the ball in hand so far, apart from that one initial kick.
Take it. Would you wait, Andrew?
There's Callum Cruikshank, the number 20 there.
Yep, you're inside clearly. None of that. None of that. Crouch! Bind! Set!
Just an adjustment at the back to give them time. The replacement fly half, Dan King, launches one. Oh, and that was touched. That was touched as well. You see, that's just what we spoke about earlier, Colin. You made the point. You know, when you do throw up a kick like that,
12,
the chances are very good chance of a fumble.
Stop.
Especially in these conditions, yeah. Now with it being a little bit wet as well as windy, so it makes it really difficult for the back three.
Time off.
Elias Cavan on that occasion running back, ball coming over his shoulder. Not fully aware of how close he is or the ball is to the touchline, what the opposition doing. So yeah, it becomes a real challenge to field that, and it's given Heriot's it's an excellent exit from their 22, and obviously they put into this line out because, as you said, Elias Cavan did touch it in flight. Oh, but the line out just overthrown.
And without labouring the point, that's an issue we identified earlier on. And here come the Bulls. Just confirmation that Heriots have made another change as well. Sam Pecure has come on for Kyle Brown, who was playing in the centre. And that was while the line out took place. Again, untidy from the Ayrshire Bulls on the floor. Heriots beginning to just win that particular arm wrestle at the moment. Maybe it's just ill discipline rather than anything else, or untidy technique. And King launches one. Oh, he didn't find touch though. And there's a chance to run here. Taking the kicking option, and that's the wrong option again. So all of a sudden we're getting mistake after mistake here, and I think that is largely due to the conditions and failure to adapt.
Cammy, submit.
And there also another substitution, Cammy Jones for Ayrshire Bulls is going off.
I feel that your player's on the floor as well.
That should be Lanac coming on. Oh, and here's the heavy artillery being replaced. So Jordan Lanac goes to scrum half. And James Malcolm has gone off as well at hooker. And here's a break, first real break from Heriot's. First time they've showed any real cutting edge from the backs.
Fine, there's no rock.
But they've spilled it. The Tongans off and running. By Lanu. Puts it on a plate. And here they come. Bulls, plenty men. Floated pass. Liam McNamara is the last man out on the side. Just confirmation of the changes as we go through them. Jamie Drummond replacing Andrew Nimmo. So it is a bit untidy this first 5-6 minutes of the second half, Colin, but I mentioned before, I think it's largely due to the conditions. Heriots have to chase the game. Ayrshire Bulls will probably be looking for a bonus, but they'll probably pick their time.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. Yeah, Ollie Smith, man in shot there, coughing up possession. He'll be frustrated with that handling error. It's an unforced one, a wry smile. He just popped a kick out on the full as well. So, whereas we talked about Ross Thompson being pretty polished with his 40 minutes, I think Ollie Smith, whether he's just trying to get not involved too much, but just do too much, or he's thinking ahead of what he's actually the basics that he needs to do first and foremost, to kind of catch, pass, kick. But I'm sure he'll settle down. He's still got half an hour left in this game. But yeah, as you say, it's just whether the slightly greasy ball is a factor now. It's just become, and the fact that so many replacements have been made, it's become a bit loose, a bit scrappy, which may well play into the Ayrshire Bulls' hands.
The first is by 9 at the base, and the second is by light.
Good pressure from Jordan Lanac at the base of the Heriot scrum, but Finlay Brown adjudged that he was the first one to knock it on. So yeah, we just go from set piece to set piece. And
here we are.
It's interesting that I guess it's always the case in sport, in team sport in particular, where Ayrshire Bulls have the opportunity to bring a professional and Ollie Smith on. They've got Rory Jackson, who's been outstanding for them for large parts of this season, starting on the bench. Jordan Lanac the same. William Hunt's played a lot of game time for them. and Heriot's with a couple of injuries are scraping the barrel and borrowing and
Crouch.
stealing some of their replacements. So you do think as the game
Bind.
goes on, if replacements as and when they come on, which we're seeing
Set.
more and more of, that Ayrshire Bulls have a stronger 23 today. So will that be a factor in the closing 27 minutes as well?
I suspect it will. That's what it says on paper anyway, Colin, but it remains to be seen.
Play
There's
on.
a great rip and steal for the Bulls. And they're keeping it tight and making ground, although
Next
they've left
man.
the ball behind and left it in open field, so fair game. Heriots have and can turn it again, but good pressure from the Ayrshire Bulls. Oh, that's a risky pass. Oh, not quite a hospital pass, but it was certainly very near to accident and emergency, because he got man and ball at the same time. One of these ones, you know, they're both coming and they're going to arrive at the same time, but unscathed. Raindrops again. Driving rain now, it's just not quite
Stop,
epic
14.
proportions. This is the kind of kick we were looking for, over the back of the defence, but dispatched to touch, and that's a better kick, more comfortable kick. And you see there the effects on people round about the edge of the pitch.
Yeah, it is. Mardo, for me, it's always legal, and then he's just playing great off the ball.
Continuous
I think he's
debate
always legal
between
to begin with, so.
the referee and some of the players. What do you make of that, Colin? I mean, you've been
You okay?
skipper in all sorts of levels, and
Time off, I tell you what, boys.
the-
15 minutes water break.
the irony of having a water break when the rain is absolutely tipping down is not lost on me. But this thing of
No, I ain't water,
increasingly we've been seeing in a lot of comment about players talking to the referee, even debating decisions or discussing
Okay.
decisions, whatever. I mean, where is that line for you?
Well played, Michael. Thank you.
It's a really interesting one, and you hear a lot of what Finlay Brown's been saying today is he's referring to players by their first names. There he was talking about Murdo, because he was talking to obviously Murdo McAndrew, the Heriot scrum half. We've heard him saying to Blair, obviously the Ayrshire Bulls captain, which I understand that a little bit more. The fact that more and more teams have like a leadership team within their team, so yes, you have your captain, your figurehead. Some teams have co-captains, so I think there are more influential people within each team, but I think you should almost have a spokesperson for your forwards.
If you're not happy with it and there's new guys on, we can maybe tighten up a bit.
So there we're seeing that Finlay Brown having a conversation with one of the Ayrshire Bulls props. I almost feel you should have a spokesperson for your forwards, a spokesperson for your backs, and they're the people that actually communicate with the referee. Part of it I quite like when the referees give a bit of an explanation of decisions and why they've made certain decisions. I think that helps, especially for viewers who might not have full understanding of rugby, but it's making sure that actually it's not getting in the way of the game, or it's not detracting from actually the spectacle that we're seeing. And it's a difficult balance to get, as Vailanu almost went for the intercept there.
Advantage.
Wouldn't fancy being the recipient of that ball, but Heriot's get away with it, and with a penalty advantage try to take a little grubber kick into space. Run out of room, goes into touch. But yeah, another Ayrshire Bulls penalty, and yeah, Vailanu offside, trying to get that intercept there. It's interesting, the 19-point lead for Ayrshire Bulls. It looked like they had played with the wind in the first half, whether they'd been studying the forecast or not, thinking actually let's build a score and then defend, and if the weather does turn, it's going to be a lot easier to defend when the opposition can't maybe put such width to their attack, because the ball's going to be wet, the wind's picked up, it's gusting, it's swirling. So the flip side for Heriot is, well, how do they solve that problem? They've not managed to get over any points on the board in the first 55 minutes of this game, but they're in a decent position now. Michael Linus, the man in shot, about to throw into this line out, so they've got opportunity. But again, interesting there, you see the replacement hooker Elliot Young is in the line out, so they've obviously made changes and been forced into changes they might not want to make, having both hookers on the pitch. The flip side of that is when it comes to maul time, they'll both know exactly what they're doing. get some good grunt going there. There's the two of them at the back of that maul as it creeps forward, which is good position, good technique here from Heriot's.
I suppose the big issue is that they don't both go for it at the same time. So they're just the confirmation that Callum Anderson, the blindside flanker, has gone. The replacement hooker replaces him. So be interesting to see how this flexibility in the pack is going to work. Is it going to work for Heriots? But this time kick over the top. Looking for
no advantage.
A fumble, but the mark is taken.
And change his bind onto the halfback.
Aaron Tate, but again we've got another problem for Ayrshire Bulls to defend, and another injury for Heriots to deal with.
Side entry, right. Time off.
Again, just untidy, and the referee is not going to undress or anything of that order. He's going to get some electronic equipment attached, and I think another substitution indicated there. We'll get up to date with that. I think it's a communication issue with his assistant referees rather than feeding anything to us. The players decide they'll just get on with it without him, but he managed to spot that one. But interesting take on that from Colin about defending the, I suppose, the accuracy of the forecast is there, but they could certainly have a fair idea how the weather was going to change in the next 2 hours at the start of the game. It looks as if Blair McPherson is
there we go.
Being replaced.
Thank you very
as
much.
well.
Yeah.
So his day is done.
Sorry lads.
Maybe a bit of a surprise that taking him off so early, unless he's covering an injury or some such. He's happy now that he's wired to the moon.
Sorry mate, hang on, just hang on. Just here. There you are.
He's tucking his shorts in, that's all good.
Fellas,
Good referees tuck their
don't
shorts in.
mind.
So, good attacking position for Heriot's Rugby. You get the feeling they have to score, and they have to score soon. There's confirmation that Gavin Williamson has replaced.
Once backwards!
Captain Gavin Williamson was somebody completely different in another one altogether. We'll park that one. Here they come. That speed. Dummy runners everywhere. Heading for the post. But they've butchered that because Ayrshire Bulls did far better on the ground. Far better. Managing to get their hands on the ball. So it looked good to start with, Colin.
It did, yeah. Jake Henry, the Heriot's left winger, who I think he's released from Edinburgh. He's the professional from the Edinburgh ranks in the Heriot's team, and seen very little of him. Getting an opportunity to get ball in hand, but not much of an opportunity for a winger there when you're faced with the Ayrshire Bulls wall of defenders in front of him.
On your front man, hold there,
tries to fight
Heriot.
through that contact. He's thrown to ground, and there's a couple of Ayrshire replacements, I think it was, that were over ball. Gavin Wilson, not Gavin Williamson. I'm not sure he'd be much use in a breakdown. And I think Jordan Lanack, the replacement.
That's black to
half,
four, black to
they'll
four.
be delighted with that, as Ayrshire try and get a bit of field possession and get themselves into this second half, which, as you said, Dan, it's been a bit stop-start with the conditions, the number of replacements.
You've trapped him in there quite clearly.
The pitch, it's just not quite got the same flow, the same excitement yet that the first half did, but there's still plenty of time for that to be remedied.
Just heading for the hour mark. There's a kick in the other direction, proving to be just as difficult. Maybe this is the best way to kick on a day like this, but that's sat up very nicely for the counter attack, but scragged, not quite brought to ground. Short of men out here, looking for the gap up the channel. This time Heriots have a chance to bounce
Carry
pass.
back to me, boys.
Trying to split the defenders, but again the ball sits up nicely. Some nice footwork. and a hop step, and away we go. Not much room there. Violano certainly covered the ground. He's getting his minutes and he's getting his acreage figures boosted today significantly.
Hands down, hands down. Use it!
The aerial route. Well, let's see what happens here. It's well taken, but the pass wasn't quite executed in a similar fashion. But still, as is often the case from these bounce passes, there's a chance. People literally take their eye off the ball.
No, good lad. Hey, counts.
Not a point on the board in the second half.
Wait.
Halfway through, the scoreboard hasn't moved
No,
an
you've
inch
trapped
since
him
half
again.
time. And you wonder if at some point Ayrshire Bulls will cut loose and try and get their bonus, which would be quite a healthy addition. Oh, there's a breakaway here though. Heriot's have a great chance. Turned inside. Has he got the pace to go the whole way? He has indeed. The scoreboard is moving at long last, and it's Gelderblom who capitalised. As I said, that all started, I think, from that bounce pass, Colin, created just a question in people's minds, and all of a sudden accuracy from Heriot's, and one pass got them right in at the corner.
Yeah, it's Ian Wilson, the open side, gets the charge down of Lanac's kick, does really well and gathers the loose ball. And what about the one-handed ball back inside? Gelderblom, he's thinking about stepping inside, see whether he can take William Hunt, but actually just says, no, I've got the pace to go for the corner. Great execution, good finish. As we see, Ayrshire, they've done a lot more kicking in this second half, almost just sitting on their lead. But on that occasion, the pressure Ian Wilson gets onto Lanac is too great. And Gelderblom does well to react to the ball, get the support, and then just the little in-out just to finish, and then put the foot down and get over the whitewash.
Good effort from that far side. Not quite as difficult perhaps as it was for Thompson kicking off the left foot, but successfully converted by Dan King. And as I said earlier, it needed Heriots to score next to turn this into anything of a game at all. But all of a sudden we're down to 12-point differential. Might seem like a lot, but hey, the sun's out. 62.5 minutes into the game. Heriots Rugby are on the scoreboard, 7 points to Ayrshire Bulls 19. Now, can that provide Heriots with the lift, the encouragement they need? They capitalised on that. Not quite a mistake. The charge down was cleverly done.
No.
But then the bits after that were exceptionally good. Gelderblom's in out in the corner, got him over the line. That's a great take. And the sun may very well have come out, but it's gone and it's teeming. Ewan MacLennan has come on. Tight head for Dan Gamble for the home team. You just get the feeling, Colin, that the score is the fillip they needed, but the tide, albeit half of it's coming from the sky, the tide has turned a bit.
Yeah, you just see that winning the penalty there. That it was Cameron McMillan, I think, the replacement prop, does really well. Lanac, he's just slowing the ball down. The Ayrshire Bulls weren't doing that in the first half, and they're just a man short at the breakdown. And in fairness to McMillan, he does really well to latch on to that.
20.
Survives the clear out and wins Heriot's the penalty. But yeah, just after scoring a try, you want to make sure that your next job, the next play is accurate, and Heriot's do well to gather the ball. It's a good box kick, which Ollie Smith does really well to gather, and he gets ball presented quickly, and that's where Lanac just slows it down. It's almost Ayrshire Bulls are kind of thinking, right, we'll just ride this out, we'll just comfortable with what we've got, rather than thinking let's go for that bonus point, which at the end of the season, when it's them and Watsonian are nip and tuck at the top, you know, this could be an opportunity to get bonus points. They've got possession again now.
I just personally think it's far too early to sit back and try and defend 12 points, because in these conditions anything can happen. The first thing is to win the game, of course, but then the bigger picture, because Watsonians are playing Southern Knights at 5 o'clock, so we know, generally speaking, where that could go. Although we saw last night that Stirling, oh, there's a break here, a hack on. And this is where the game breaks down. It suits, oh, and he's got it! He's got it! And this is exactly what could happen on a day like this where the ball breaks free, and if you want your team to deal with chaos, Ayrshire Bulls are your men. And, well, Elias Cavan, hat-trick, bonus point try. That might very well be the deciding point of the game, Colin.
Where, sorry?
And as you say, Hugh, Dan, from absolutely nothing, Heriot's attacking to the width, and they've got men out there. It's a good ball here, but and it's that pressure in defence from McNamara, and then Heriot's thinking, oh, we need to keep the ball in play. I think Michael Badenhorst trying to keep it in play. He just lines it up for Elias Cavan to fly hack down the field, and we know he's got a lot of pace, Cavan. We see it from here that it's good ambition from Heriot's to get it wide, but that loose pass, and then in hindsight just let the ball go out. But then you think, oh, there's an opportunity to gather here, but in these conditions, the bouncing ball, the greasy conditions, the wind gets away from Dan King, and it falls perfectly into the path of Cavan, who'll say thank you very much for the hat-trick score, and as you say, the bonus point for the Bulls.
And a chance for 2 more. Beautifully struck and turned inside the post by William Hunt to extend the Ayrshire Bulls haul of points. And I don't think it's unfair to say that two errors there in defence, as Colin said. They would have been more clever to let the ball go out, and then certainly to hack it out on the second occasion, or to even to slide over the line with it would have done. But at the end of the day, it's 3 tries to Cavan, 4 tries to Ayrshire Bulls, a bonus point in the bag. Heriot's Rugby 7, Ayrshire Bulls 26.
He's under pressure.
In the 67th minute.
Knock on in the tackle.
And now perhaps Ayrshire Bulls can afford just to control the game and see it out.
Okay.
That they've proven that they can take. I did say earlier in the game that they choose their moment to strike. Well, they chose their moment there almost by accident, but they certainly made the most of it. And then Cavan have certainly got the star man in terms of scores today. I don't want to put any pressure on Colin Gregor, who's choosing man of the match, but it's nothing to do with me, Colin. I'll leave it to you.
Set.
Scrum has tidied up a bit, thankfully. They've got to grips with each other. Heriot's lots of dummy runners. Oh, and that was touched in the air. That was just enough to set Heriot's back.
Disagree.
Driven into
Deliberate.
touch.
He said 15 metres that way. Deliberate knock on. No, there's 2 players outside him.
Well,
it's deliberate.
It's one of these contentious ones, Colin. That seemed to me like just having a go at the interception, but a referee decided it was a deliberate knock on.
Yeah, I think Elias Cavan there, he went with it with one hand, and so when you do that, it's always a higher risk of being penalised. You could argue that he could have been sent into the sin bin for that one, but yeah, Finlay Brown very clear with it was deliberate, and I think he was saying there were Ayrshire defenders outside, so it was never going to be a kind of professional foul or a penalty try or a yellow card. He's happy just with the penalty, and it's a great kick from Heriot's with a chance to strike back immediately after conceding that try.
In the 5.
5 metres out. They're inside the 5. And that would be a good response if they can. It's been buried. Well, there's all sorts of bodies flying out there.
Michael, let him go. Let him go. Ed.
What am I next, sir?
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit tetchy and some more
Turnover.
unseemly language for an Edinburgh afternoon at Goldenacre.
Feel we're leaning in. Keep your foot.
Finlay
keep your
Brown
foot.
stepped in,
Keep that break foot there.
calmed everything down quite nicely. You want it to be competitive though.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks, Michael.
Sure, the coaches,
Work hard to keep
neither
the
of
space,
whom
you two.
took a step backwards in their day, would approve. Good defensive work there. Some grand larceny by the Ayrshire Bulls.
Crouch!
And they'll want to keep the score at this
Bind!
kind of level, or this kind of gap with 10 minutes to
Set!
go. Because that would give them a fairly easy ride in terms of controlling the game. Well, a fumble at the back though.
Pass forward at the base.
What do I know? And it's our man Vailanu. Has blotted his copybook in an otherwise fairly decent performance. I think he's going to go the full 80 here, get his game time in. He's kind of tailed off, understandably. He's not the rumbustious figure he was in the first 40. But not having had that game time, that's probably
I didn't think
to
we
be
had.
expected.
Thanks for listening though. Thanks for listening though.
If we can work out the sign language here, I think it means he's going to go up the blind side.
Bind!
Could be wrong, but that's what it looked like.
Stand up. Lads. Lads, hang on. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Boys, this hasn't been an issue for 75 minutes. It's not becoming one now. Hold the space and hold the weight. Yeah. Don't lean on.
Not so sure Finlay Brown is watching the same game as we are. There have been some issues in there. I think I know what he means. He's shown great patience with the front rows, I have to say. Because it's, sometimes the referee's answer to all of this is to remove someone or some people and tell somebody else to do better. Famously, certain Welsh referee used that as an explanation. If you can't do it, I'll find someone else who can do it.
Stay there, stay there.
Heriot's not quite in the last chance saloon to get something out of this game. It's all very lateral at the moment. The Ayrshire Bulls slamming the door and again forcing the error. Vaiolanu's in there, burrowing away.
He can't play the ball away because he's offside. We'll take the knock on.
Taking the knock on.
I haven't seen.
It is pretty robust defence though, isn't it? It's good, it's organised and it's competitive.
Yeah, and in conditions like this, that's what you want when it's a bit wet, the ball's greasy, when there's wind as well. As Finlay Brown saying, there's 6 minutes or thereabouts to go. It's difficult to attack, so if you can get line speed, if you can apply pressure to the opposition and then make the tackle, so important that when you're in that position you then execute. And for Heriots, who are trying to chase the game, they know that they need to score tries and they need to score them quickly. Just plays into this aggressive Ayrshire Bulls defence. It's getting a bit tetchy as well. There's a lot more kind of bickering and squabbling and comments to the referee. Frustration from Heriots, but I think Ayrshire Bulls will be a bit frustrated with how the second half has gone as well. It has been a bit bitty, as it were. They're putting a bit of heat on the Heriot scrum there.
Vantage!
There we go. Statement at the towards the end of this game, but a chance for them to have a little attack. Oh, Ollie Smith, love to say that was deliberate, kind of bounce it off his head, off his foot and then regather, but we'll come back for the penalty. No advantage, says the referee.
Yeah, it's just in this mess here.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be able to replicate that for his teammates at Glasgow Warriors when he goes back next week to Scotstoun. All very nice, but try doing that again, Ollie.
8 minutes to go, Edward.
You never know.
Eight to go.
Never know.
What? After.
Great sense of feel for where the ball was. And great skills from the camera folk as well, as they're hanging on. As the wind gets up and the rain comes back. It's going to be a testing 5 minutes for the camera folk as well as the players, just to see this game out now.
To go. Yeah.
You see there what everyone, at least our assistant referee, has a smile on his face. He's probably going to need a very, very hot bath after this, standing out there for the best part of 2 hours. Although it was pleasant enough at the start. Reasonably well functioning, the Ayrshire Bulls line out today, even with the change of hooker. James Malcolm's throwing in the first half was exceptionally good. So all they need to do now is see the remaining few minutes out. They have a penalty to come, so this is worth a shot to nothing. Doesn't really matter that it's lifted out.
Changing around the outside. You've got to come through and look connected.
Quite a quiet game.
And we've got 7 to go. I think we just keep playing.
Referee has confirmed there are 7 minutes to go, so just a slight difference between the clocks, the way our clock has been running and his watch has been functioning with all the stoppages and everything else. Ironically, the water breaks. There's a commitment for you. Look at these players warming down or warming up in the teeth of all this weather. Another game presumably about to start, I think, over in the back pitches there. But it's the last thing they want right now. Untidy line out. Water beginning to lie in the pitch. Look at that. It's horrible. Absolutely horrible.
Hey, Jordan, no. No.
Oh.
Let him go.
Well,
let
shirts
go of his neck.
Potentially getting out of hand. It's a little bit more than handbags, that one, Colin, because there was players coming in from all sorts of directions. There were some of them ran from Princess Street to get in there, I think. All very unnecessary, really. But interesting point you made earlier about this first name reference between referees and the generality of the players, not just the captain. But I think he's going to have a word.
For me, I've given a holding on penalty against Heriot.
Let's lug in.
Ayrshire 9's tried to play the ball perfectly legal. 18's come in from distance and caused that flare up. For me, it's not acceptable, and he goes. Yeah, 18. Come from distance, started that flare up, away you go. Yeah.
There we are.
9's trying to go quickly.
9 started it. Quickly. 18 finished it. It's Hugh MacLennan, who also is needing a new shirt by the end of this game. So I think that's his day done. He might as well take it off and get warm, because he's not going to take any further part. So all a wee bit unnecessary, Colin.
Yeah, there's just been a bit of simmering, kind of bickering throughout the latter parts of this game, and yeah, the frustration there from Hugh MacLennan boiled over as he took it out on Jordan Linac, who being the wily scrum half, looking as if he's trying to get the ball to take a quick one, and I'm sure he's just aggrieving the Heriot's team, who are frustrated having lost a penalty. And then Ayrshire Bulls thinking that they're close to the line, but there's a
16 on the floor, he's lost control of the ball forward. Scrum.
Not all that surprising as we see the squalls of rain across the screen, which yes, it very much has been the onset of autumn throughout the course of this afternoon in this game, starting in what looked like very summery conditions and finishing in almost winter.
I suspect if Watsonians and Southern Knights are watching this right now, and I'm sure they are, they'll be wishing they were somewhere else at 5 o'clock. I'm intrigued as to the scrum half union and how they stick together. They used to say the hookers stuck together, but the way the scrum half stand up for each other, they're all so hard done by. They're all picked on at the back of the scrum and all that stuff. And at the end of the day, the referee said the number 9 started it. There you have it. As ever, the number 9 started it.
Sorry.
But it's horrible. It's horrible. And I'm sure you're deliberating on your FOSROC Super 6 player of the game. award, Colin, and we'll come to that shortly because we're running out of time anyway. But
See what's happening here.
just an injury to deal with at the
We'll have to, yeah, we'll have to see what happens.
tail end of the game now,
Hang on.
and the players are wishing they could just get it finished. And it's been a comfortable escapade in terms
14,
of what
did you
the
say?
Ayrshire Bulls get out of it, because they
2-0,
will go,
20.
albeit for a short time, perhaps,
Fraser, you good to go?
to the top of the table.
Lads, we're off then.
So referees
Time on.
clearing the field as the match effectively peters out, apart from the odd explosion here and there. Confirmation there, that's a yellow card on the Heriot side. Hugh MacLennan, and a try bonus for Ayr, thanks largely due to a hat-trick from Elias Cavan. There is a chance here for them to drive because of McLaren. They've had to change the front row, obviously.
Bind! Stand up. Whoa, whoa. Lads. Lads.
Deary, deary me.
Find your space.
Apologies for the
Come
language,
left. Let's go.
for all the frustration and everything else. The last thing Heriots need here is to lose another man to a yellow card. They have the ball,
Crouch.
so they need to maintain their discipline.
Bind.
Finn Gillis has mentioned that before,
Set.
how ill discipline and lack of focus has cost them.
Get it
This might be another example. There's a massive shove by the Ayrshire Bulls. They're all over Ian Wilson.
in. No, 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 no. No, it's still behind the last
Hasn't quite been the Hurricane Ian I forecast at the start of the game. He's been kept well under control today. It's been a key figure for them in a lot of their games this season. But the mob-handed Ayrshire Bulls, 3 of them always got it there. Careful, careful. Let's see what they can make of this as the tired legs fail to catch your man getting his 4th try. It's Elias Cavan with try number 4. Personal haul, try number 5 for Ayrshire Bulls as they extend their lead in the dying seconds or dying minutes at least of this game to take the score now to Heriot 7. Ayrshire Bulls 31, and the referee confirms, Colin, there will be time for a restart after the conversion attempt.
2 minutes.
Yeah, it's an excellent recognition from Ollie Smith, returning the kick from Heriot's, trying to clear the lines, looking to go open, and then comes back blind. He knows he's up against one of the forwards that he's got the pace to get around the outside of, which makes it really difficult for the rest of the Heriot's defence to realign. It's good work, Ronan Sadak. Good kick chase from the Heriot second row, but he's not quite got the pace to deal with Ollie Smith as we see him escape from the camera. And then we're focusing in. Player cam on Cavan, does well to gather the ball, puts in good pace, change of line, and he gets almost behind the posts. And as I'm unable to give Hugh Dan the performer of the match for his exceptional comms today, I think Elias Cavan for 4 tries ran you close, Hugh Dan, so he can take home the player of the match medal, I think, for his efforts today. Good choice indeed. Outstanding performance from Elias Cavan, the FOSROC Super6 player of the game. He's been outstanding, and well, a 4-try finish. What more could you want as the lead is extended now to 7:31, and a handsome victory indeed for the Ayrshire Bulls, and that is, as we'll discuss at the end of the game, going to propel them into top spot for the time being. And just a reminder that Watsonians Rugby and Southern Knights, Bruce Miller and Heather Lockhart will be back at 5 o'clock to take everybody through that game. There's a worthy player of the game. So the match finishing in midfield quite appropriately, and I think the referee will be just as glad to see this out as everyone else.
Crouch!
head for the hot baths.
Yeah, all right. Bind! Set!
The Bulls have it. And I suspect there's only one
Stay on the
route
back
to
foot
go
then.
now. There's no point in trying anything else. Well, there is, obviously. Hungry for tries, and of course points could very well count at the end of the day when it comes to the playoffs. The decision, if points are tied, there's tries, there's points, there's cards, there's all sorts of stuff can come into play. So the best thing to do is to crank up as many scores as you can and put them in the bag. Ball is spilled. Heriots have it though. Let's see if they've got something left in overtime. We're down the left, which is where they had their success with the one try from Gelderblom.
That's touch.
And the ball's in touch, so Finlay Brown calls a halt. It's no side. And the game's over and everyone is happy. Everyone's happy. All of a sudden there is no more Stramash. Comfortable win for the Ayrshire Bulls. Very worthy winners, but with the superb performance for Cavan, it was always going to be so. Heriots never really got it together at all today. They had stop-start all throughout the game, and they never really got any sense of it. There was no pattern to their play, and to be fair to Ayrshire Bulls, they never let Heriots into the game, Colin.
You're absolutely spot on with that, Hugh Dan. It was a real dominating performance from the men from Millbrae, getting a 2-score lead early on, and they just never looked like relinquishing that. And even when Heriots had periods of possession, when Heriots had field position, they couldn't get over the try line except for that one effort they got. So it's from not quite minute one, but it was certainly a good start from the Ayrshire Bulls. And then they just kept building on that and building on that as we look back over the sunny start to the day. Slightly different conditions when we started, when the Ayrshire Bulls scored their first tries compared to where we are now. But yeah, look at that, almost a different game. Glendinning, the beneficiary, keeping his width out on that left-hand side. If the forwards had made the yards up the right-hand side, and then the backs, great execution, great handling, recognising where the space is, having the skill set to get the ball into space, and then deft of hand there from Stirrett, timing of the pass from Ross Thompson, and player of the match getting try number one. Ellis Cavan just holding his run just as long as he needed to until that Heriots defender had bitten in, and there's the space. He powers through it. Those two tries converted by Ross Thompson for a 14-0 lead for Ayrshire Bulls. And then look at the hands from the Warriors professional there. The big pass out from Aaron Tate. And Ellis Cavan still had a bit of work to do to get that finish, but boy did he finish it well. That's a winger who's hungry for scoring tries, who wants to get across the line. Selfless from Aaron Tate, getting the ball out to him. Power there through that tackle. And carries a couple of the Heriots defenders away with him. Then we see a bit of a challenge potential challenge for Ayrshire Bulls, dealing with 10 minutes without their captain and blindside flanker, Blair McPherson. A high shot there on Jack Mann, the Heriots number 8, Finlay Brown. You can have a 10-minute rest, thank you. And Blair McPherson trudging off, knowing yes, I did. I was at fault there. Can't really argue with the misdemeanour. But Ayrshire Bulls did really well to ride out the period without their captain. But then it's a good recognition from Ian Wilson there, the Heriots open side, who, as you say, Hugh Danny, gave everything throughout the day. He was trying to get the men from Goldenacre on the front foot. And on that occasion, at 19 points to 7, you thought maybe there was a chance for Heriots to get back into it, as we see Linac just not having the protection that you need at the back of that ruck to get the box kick away. And Gelderblom, great support from the replacement scrum half, and excellent pace as well to get away from the covering Ayrshire Bulls defenders. And no sooner do you think Heriots are back in the game and they're just trying to chase it, they get to the width. McNamara puts a big shot in, the ball goes loose. keep it in play. On this occasion, maybe don't keep it in play, as Elias Cavan was the beneficiary to get Ayrshire Bulls back on the front foot. Back in, just that unassailable lead as it transpires. But it's that big defence just trying to force Heriots into throwing a ball they don't want to throw, that they're not in control of. And Cavan there, you think, oh, has Dan King got it covered? But the challenges of covering a loose ball on a wet and windy day when you're that close to your try line. Cavan just bides his time, keeps the patience, as we see here. Again, just the width that Heriots are trying to throw to their attack. You think, yeah, keep the ball in play, but on that occasion maybe just let it go out, as it led to the Ayrshire Bulls score, because Cavan the beneficiary. And then we see a little bit of a frustration brewing here. It's great work, first and foremost, from Gavin Wilson to get that turnover, and then Ewan McLaren, the Heriots replacement prop, took exception to it. Came all guns blazing into Jordan Linac, bundled him to the ground, and after a little bit of a consultation with his assistant referees, Finlay Brown said, "Nah, we can't be dealing with that." And Hugh McLaren, that was his race run. What was that, about the 74th minute or so? He was off to the yellow card, off to the sin bin. And then there was time for Ollie Smith to show a bit of Warriors class here, just recognising that he's up against a forward, getting him on the outside, causing all sorts of distress in that Heriots kick chase. And Elias Cavan, the man of the match for this afternoon, picking up his 4th try. But Ollie Smith will be delighted with this assist, just recognising where the space is, recognising up against Ronan Zadak. You can put a bit of footwork on, and look at the pace there to get almost under the posts.
It was almost as if he was confirming your choice, Colin, and what a choice. Easy choice. You won't get many easier choices to make than that. As FOSROC Super 6 player of the game, a quite outstanding finishing performance from Elias Cavan, who is just picking up his award right now. You can always rely on your captain to try and get it right, but given that he was sin-binned himself, I'm sure he didn't mention that, but a very, very worthy winner, and for Colin Gregor, a very, very easy choice. I suspect you won't get many easier choices than that, Colin. So an interesting weekend unfolding. Stirling Wolves last night, first win of the season. Boroughmuir Bears 16, Stirling Wolves 28, and as we've just seen, Heriot's Rugby 7, Ayrshire Bulls 33. And a reminder that Watsonians Rugby plays Southern Knights this evening in a couple of hours' time, actually at 5 o'clock. And this is where the league table takes us now. Ayrshire Bulls have gone top, albeit possibly temporarily. Watsonians Rugby in second place with 31 points, 3 points adrift. In Boroughmuir Bears on 22, Heriot's Rugby on 16. And a reminder that if it stayed like that, well, the rules are it's 1v4, 2v3, with the home advantage there to numbers 1 and 2. So it's looking good at the moment, but very competitive. And what would happen if Southern Knights could come up with something? Well, why don't you all join us again at 5 o'clock with Bruce Miller leading us through the game, ably supported by Heather Lockhart. Well, that's it from us, from Goldenacre. Colin and I are away for a hot bath. Hope you have a very pleasant remainder of the weekend from everyone who was involved at Goldenacre and everywhere else in the production. Thanks for watching, and see you later.